Red Bull and Honda's Formula One partnership came to an end at the end of the 2021 season. In fact, the news that Red Bull and Honda will be parting ways sent shockwaves reverberating throughout the racing community. So why did the two teams end their partnership? How is Red Bull planning to handle the situation from 2026 onwards? Some teams on the grid, including Ferrari and Mercedes, don't agree with the proposal by Red Bull to the FIA that will see them get a critical engine advantage come 2026. Will they block Red Bull on this? Stay tuned, as we'll fill you in on basically everything that we know. To begin, why did Red Bull-Honda partnership end? English was great. I learned it good. RB18's launch saw the announcement of a Red Bull-Ford partnership that will see the American automobile manufacturer enter F1 in 2026 as a power unit supplier. This happened as a result of the termination of the partnership between Red Bull and Honda at the end of the 2021 season, where Honda supplied Red Bull with power units. As a consequence of this, Red Bull was once again put in an awkward position after Honda's announcement. The situation was similar to what happened when their relationship with their previous power unit supplier, Renault, ended. Honda quit Formula One in order to focus on electrification. The collaboration between Red Bull and Honda culminated in the 2021 season, when Honda-powered driver Max Verstappen won the World Championship title. Despite winning the title with Verstappen, Honda still chose to withdraw from F1. However, Honda will continue to provide Red Bull with support and advertise on their cars until 2025. No partnerships have been announced for the 2026 season, when new power unit regulations will be implemented. This meant that Milton Keynes' team would be without a power unit supplier until they found a solution to the problem. Next, Red Bull has set up its own powertrains company. After losing its engine supplier in 2021 and with new power unit regulations set to take effect in 2026, Red Bull had three options: find another manufacturer like Mercedes, Ferrari, or Renault, withdraw from the sport, or build its own power system. Mercedes and Ferrari have already stated that they won't supply Red Bull with power units due to the fact that they're a direct competitor. Therefore, Red Bull chose to take that challenge head-on and manufacture its own power unit. They established a plant on its campus in England to manufacture its power units. The 5,000-foot Red Bull powertrains plant in Milton Keynes, England, adjacent to its chassis department, was built in 55 weeks on the site of what used to be a bubble wrap factory. On August 4th last year, Red Bull marked a watershed moment in its history. After years of relying on different power unit suppliers, Red Bull finally fired up its own prototype power unit, which the team plans to race by 2026. The engine has always been an Achilles heel for us in terms of being reliant on a supplier. Now suddenly there's this huge new chapter of becoming a power unit manufacturer and producing the first ever Red Bull engine. It was a historic moment. Team principal Christian Horner said during an interview September of last year. The project is being led by Ben Hodgkinson, the technical director, who was the head of mechanical engineering at Mercedes-AMG high-performance powertrains. Surprisingly, Red Bull can supply its sister team AlphaTauri and also has the capacity to supply two other teams. Moving on, let's look at Red Bull's partnership with Ford. Ford and Red Bull Powertrains have formed a long-term strategic technical partnership to develop a next-generation hybrid power unit that will be used in F1 starting in 2026. Ford will supply power units to both Oracle, Red Bull Racing, and AlphaTauri from 2026 to at least 2030. Ford's return to Formula One is part of the company's long history in motorsports, which began when Henry Ford won a race that helped launch the company. Ford will work to develop the power unit required by the new technical regulations, which will include a 350 kilowatt electric motor and a new combustion engine capable of accepting fully sustainable fuels, which is going to happen in time for the 2026 season. Ford's also going to provide technical expertise in all areas where it can add value to Red Bull, such as combustion engine development and key developments such as battery cell and electric motor technology, or even power unit control software and analytics. Ford is investing $50 billion to lead the global EV revolution. It's the second-ranked EV automaker in the United States, thanks to the success of the F-150 Lightning and the Mustang Mach-E. And the E-Transit is the market leader in many markets around the world. Ford is collaborating with Red Bull Racing to bring the latest innovations, technologies, and software to consumers, and it'll do so in the future with this new partnership with the pinnacle of motorsports for future Ford electric vehicles. The Red Bull-Ford partnership is one of the 6 F1 engine suppliers that have been confirmed by the FIA for 2026. and they seek to be enlisted as a new manufacturer when they join the grid. Following that, we look at Mercedes and Ferrari's attempts to block Red Bull's request for a new manufacturer status in 2026. There was no doubt that Red Bull's main competitors, Ferrari and Mercedes, would step in and try to prevent them from gaining an engine advantage. And they did. The coalition led by Ferrari was successful in preventing Red Bull from gaining critical F1 engine advantages beginning in 2026. Ferrari, Mercedes, AlphaTauri, and Audi joined forces to oppose a bid to label Red Bull Powertrains Limited as a new manufacturer, which will see Red Bull get several advantages, including increased funds and more development time than existing manufacturers won't receive. Red Bull's high-profile signings of key engine specialists like Ben Hodgkinson and 5 other Mercedes engineers, and the fact that it has access to Honda's intellectual property and a lot of experience with and knowledge of the current V6 hybrid power units, were both points of contention. However, Horner has stated that Honda and Red Bull powertrains will operate independently, with safeguards in place to protect both parties. He also stated that the arrangement benefits Honda because it allows them to gain valuable knowledge on the latest F1 regulations while still providing support to Red Bull. According to Horner, a facade will be put in place to ensure that Red Bull and engine partner Honda don't share Formula One information before their 2025 split. According to reports by La Gazzetta, the FIA accepted Ferrari's objections, implying that Red Bull won't get the new manufacturer status that they want in 2026. Yet a closer examination of the text suggests that the fight ain't over yet. The arguments presented are a collaboration with Mercedes and Audi will see Ferrari win the day, but no decision yet has been made as the FIA hasn't yet addressed this issue officially. Reports from December state that Ferrari was barred from the 2026 Engine Advisory Committee meeting because they refused to sign up for the new regulations in protest of Red Bull being awarded the new manufacturer status. Next up is Ford F1's history. Despite leaving the sport in 2004 with Jaguar Racing and selling the team to Red Bull Racing, Ford remains the third most successful engine manufacturer in F1 history, trailing only Mercedes and Ferrari. Ford's F1 history is littered with victories. Ford has won a total of 176 Grand Prix races, 535 podiums, 13 Drivers' Championships, and 10 Constructors' Championships. Ford debuted in Formula One in 1967 with the now legendary DFV engine. The engine was developed in collaboration with Cosworth Racing and debuted in April of 1967. Only 2 months later, the engine made its debut in the Dutch Grand Prix, winning the race behind Jim Clark's Lotus Ford. The DFV went on to become the most successful F1 race engine of all time, winning 155 races between 1967 and 1983, when Keek Rosberg used it to win the Monaco Grand Prix just before the start of the turbo era. Ford continued to race with turbo and naturally aspirated engines after the DSV was retired, culminating in the Ford Zetec R V8 that powered Michael Schumacher to his F1 World Championship in 1994. Is Honda considering a Formula One return? Honda is considering a formal F1 return in 2026. Honda is one of the 6 companies, along with Mercedes, Ferrari, Alpine, Audi, and Red Bull, in partnership with Ford, that have registered with the FIA as a power unit supplier for the period of 2026 to 2030. Honda claims that several F1 teams have already approached it about a 2026 engine deal as it continues to consider staying in the sport. McLaren is one of the teams that has reportedly shown interest in collaborating with the Japanese giant. Honda's president, Koji Watanabe, said this about their plans for 2026. After we made the registration, we have been contacted by multiple F1 teams. For the time being, we'd like to keep a close eye on where F1 is going and just see how things go. For now, we don't have any concrete decisions on whether or not we'll be going back to joining F1. What do you think about Red Bull's new power unit and its collaboration with Ford? Let us know in the comment section below. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel in order to stay updated on all the latest F1 news. And that's about it. So, later.